And here's a video reminder that I am giving away 1 pass to Dragonsteel Nexus to a lucky subscriber. So please check out the link above to learn more. Hey you geeks! Just 2 chapters this week, but there is still so much to go over and so much impending doom. It just feels like the beginning of Oedipus Rex. You know this ain't gonna go well.
You are your own enemy.
And yet, we're still all here for it. So here are my thoughts, musings, and of course theories on episodes 19 and 20 of Wind and Truth. Full spoilers for all tour-released content, including the Sunlit Man, of course. Szeth is back again. We are back to the land of the setting sun, to where we have not ventured forth since Risen went there in the Way of Kings. We are also back to Szeth's very broken and disturbing inner monologue. And has he just been living under a rock for the past year? I mean, I know he was imprisoned, but still, how dare he say things like this? This is a man, Szeth thought, who pulls back before crushing a weed. No wonder you broke and gave up the spear, Szeth said, leaving your friends to battle without you. You have grown into a coward, then. I should not speak truth, Szeth said, genuinely curious. Or are you saying that I am not the one to tell you these things, as I have no authority over you? Interesting. You should stop talking, because if you cannot explain what you mean, then why voice silly thoughts?
Huh? Why, I oughta... Let me at him!
Since Szeth is a fictional character, I will refrain from gouging his eyes out with a spoon for daring to talk such smack to Kaladin freaking Storm-blessed hero of Urithiru. I suppose this is where his journey begins. He's going to learn over the course of this book how to talk about emotions and deal with them healthfully. And he's got to learn that from Kaladin, because his high spren ain't doing anything on that front either. Szeth, a voice said. His spren. A high spren. He still did not know its name. It had never been offered. It was not a distinction the high spren gave lightly, though some other Skybreakers had been granted the names of their spren. This emotion is unfitting of your station, the spren said, audible and visible only to him. Do not spoil your dignity with the base sentimentality. You serve the law. You know, maybe it's not just Nael and the Heralds that are going to benefit from Kaladin's newfangled investiture therapy that he works up with the wind and his flute. These high spren are clearly still damaged from whatever happened during the Recreants. First, absurdly enforcing the black letter law to the nth degree in the name of justice, and now supporting Odium's own forces. They're clearly not doing their best lives right now.
Someone serious! Someone loyally! Someone who wears black when nobody's dead!
I had hoped that Szeth's spren, as it allowed him to swear his third ideal and fealty to Dalinar, would be more lenient on this point, but doesn't seem so. I also find it interesting that Szeth doesn't seem to be expecting Nael to pop up to teach him the Surge of Division. Rather, he's just relying on what his spren and master has said. Though I, with the benefit of being able to reread Oathbringer, remember this scene quite specifically. Nael said, Farewell, Szeth son Naturo. I will visit you again to oversee your training in our second art, the Surge of Division. You may access that now, but take care. It is dangerous. It would be so like Szeth to have forgotten that little fairy tale so that he can be surprised along with the average reader when Nail shows up in this book to train him. But if you're on this channel, I think you're the man, the myth, the legend. I suppose I should say something about these epigraphs. It's just that Sanderson is giving us such small tidbits that they are coming very, very slowly. Taking together what we got last week and this week, I finally now have something worth analyzing. They had Left Behind Family and Hereditary Home, something many would find unconscionable. What I learned from their glyphs scribbled in dust trembled my soul. It was because of me and the stories they'd heard of my teachings that they had left. They'd gone to seek a land some told them was mythical, a land where the king was a holy man and was concerned with the plight of the farmer beyond the approbation of taxes. I let them pass with 2 lies. It appears that Nohadon's reputation as Roshar's inspired philosopher king of Plato's dreams precedes him, and that he ain't comfortable with this, nor is he comfortable with other people leaving their hereditary house and home to go on a journey to a place that some would say is mythical. He ain't comfortable with other people doing that either at this point, though isn't that what he's doing? Perhaps this is why Nohadon and Dalinar's second wind-granted vision? We really don't know where that second Nohadon vision came from, aside from probably not the Stormfather. I'm split 50-50, either cultivation or the wind, so let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Anyway, assuming that Nohadon is the same substance of sorts as the Nohadon writing in this book, his hypocrisy seems to be the topic of this parable. Now, I don't know what this is going to have to do with the plot, except for Dalinar's been speaking a lot about the importance of bonds, and he is hypocritically not mending or tending his bond with the likes of Adolin or Little Gavinor, and I'm sure that's not going to come back to bite him in the end. Can or should? With that brief detour out of the way, we return to the war room, where Wit is laying out the interstellar legal ramifications of Dalinar's compact with a god. Now, I do really understand your possible reservations of taking such legal advice from the guy who until very recently was basically the court jester.
The king of jesters and jester of a king.
Also, Wit is known as Topaz, which is sort of a symbol of a divine messenger in the book of Daniel, which is this whole other thing we are not getting into, but it vibes. Just like it vibes that the gods of the Cosmere are more strictly bound to the laws of the land that they choose to be governed by than ye typical Alethi High Prince, who was avoiding rule by the Kholins during their war of unification. Can a god break a contract, or can they not? Anyone, anywhere can, Wit explained. God, human, spren. However, the consequences vary. For a deity, breaking a promise exposes them to destructive forces from others, and the magnitude of the broken promise often determines the severity of the consequence. The moral is, next time Dalinar has to choose a venue to enforce a contract, he should totally have chosen Azimir if Delaware is unavailable. Not legal advice, but what's done is done, and We have to play by the rules that the gods have chosen because we do actually want the battle to end in 8 days rather than going on indefinitely or ODM striking everyone dead this very instant. So, forward we go to 8 days of glory. Sanderson so nicely laid out all the stakes and all of the information the Coalition has to choose how to prepare their battlefields. Clearly, from their perspective, Thelena is the worse off. I need those troops. Thaylen City will fall without them. My situation is far more dire. We have a skeleton of a navy left, Fen explained. Our ground forces, such as they were, mostly fell at the Battle of Thaylen Field. Frankly, we're dependent on you for our defense now, as you well know. Not to mention that losing Thelena would mean losing a navy, which would imperil any future mercantile endeavors they may have in this enforced period of peace coming up with Dalinar's deal. So yes, based on the information we have, it makes sense that the Coalition would send their reserves to reinforce Thaylen City. They don't know that the vanguard of Skybreakers are going to be the topic of this book and are destined via Nail to get some serious therapy and restore their honor in a way that I'm sure will cause mass defections. At least they kind of oopsed into getting the only else caller available at their city in time to operate in Oathgate and bring their massive forces to aid whatever area needs it next, which the meaning would have us believe would be the Shattered Plains, being attacked by... The scout reports are frank. The fight at the Shattered Plains will face Thunderclass, Heavenly Ones, Deepest Ones, and more. That's suicide for conventional troops without support. We'll need our Radiants there to counter their invested. It's only a legion of Fuse they're fighting, and they now have the Radiants to stand up to them. However, they're probably going to lose their leader Sigzil sometime soon based off of the ambiguous beginning of the Sunlit Man. Now, the Mink probably had been planning to spend his time at a central command location in Urithiru, but I don't see that lasting very long once Sigzil biffs it. Now, the Shattered Plains is the most ambiguous when it comes to what constitutes the capital, because the Coalition is talking about defending Narak, the easily defensible fortress inside the middle of the Shattered Plains. But when Navani sent Sabariel back to the war camps to restore order, he didn't stay at Narak. He went to the war camps, which means he could have reinstated his control over his own war camp, or he could have moved into that really nice palace on the far western side of the plains that does not have that great of defenses, even though it is on the high ground, which of course ensures complete victory. So I look forward to a few chapters exploring that little detail. Going back to the Coalition, they seem to have forgotten the Azamir, and are letting them be defended by a handful of volunteer troops who just have to hold out a few days until the reinforcements arrive. The largest group of Coalition forces, with many of our Stone Wards and Edge Dancers, are here. They were fighting near the border with Tukar and Marat and have been moving home for 3 days now. Some of those, our rearguard, 40,000 strong, are a 6-day march from Azamir. And yet my pessimism tells me that the men that are coming...
But the troops that were coming never came, never came, never came.
If by chance you've remembered the Alamo by now, you will recall that they held out for 13 days of glory. But Santa Anna's forces were hardly singers, and moreover, the Tennesseans, led by John Wayne no less, were able to perform acts of sabotage that I don't really see happening with the Oathgate in the way. Now, although they don't have John Wayne, at least the Alethi have sent them Dalinar's only beloved son, aside from Renarin. Thus, we come to the final confrontation of the chapters. Adolin tells Dalinar and Navani about Shallan's dealings with the Ghostbloods. I can't decide if it was a good idea that he excluded Jasnah from the conversation, because Jasnah could have totally confirmed that the Ghostbloods are a threat, but she also may have left the meeting to go kill off Shallan herself, which would be bad. But without Jasnah causing extra drama, our good old Alethi boys are bubbling with all of their own as they face each other for possibly the last time ever. Adolin grunted. They stared one another in the eyes. Then Adolin nodded and left without another word. Navani sighed, her heart bleeding for them. "Why?" she asked Dalinar. "Why don't you say more?" On the one hand, we're finally seeing some practical bondsmithing, like the sort of thing those ancient bondsmiths would have done when Honor was alive, since apparently they weren't making maps with their light weavers. Like, did it really take a double bonded light weaver, or perhaps the daughter of a herald, to forge a new path and connection with a bondsmith that other light weavers could soon exploit? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. But on the other hand, there's this whole issue with Dalinar and Adolin parting ways in anger, which I focused in on my Rhythm of War analysis as a sure sign that one of them was going to end up I had hoped for a while that this was going to spell doom for Dalinar himself and Adolin would live to rebond Maya. But now that I think about it, technically Dalinar losing the duel and dying would not really entail him dying, whereas Adolin actually dying and going beyond to a place where no fuse has gone before would really just make Dalinar's loss all the more profound, especially now that he is refusing to tend and mend those bonds with Adolin, with Gavinor, and how those lack of connections are going to haunt him before the end of this book, I'd wager.
You can lift a congregation up so high they have to look down to see heaven. But it's the one-to-one where you need a little work.
Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. My Dragonsteel Pass giveaway is ending on October 14th, so definitely be entered and subscribed before then. Otherwise, like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Bye!